Welcome back to Infinite Abundance. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, some kind of bad luck or invisible block is holding back your finances and draining your health? Today we enter the fifth chapter of the game of life and how to play it, the law of karma and the law of forgiveness. Florence Scovel Shinn reveals that we reap exactly what we sow, but she also gives us the master key to liberation, forgiveness. She teaches us a liberating lesson. Everything we send out in thoughts, words, and actions returns to us, karma. But we are not trapped there. There is a higher law, the law of forgiveness, which has the quantum power to erase negative karma, dissolve financial bad luck, and heal the body of the resentments that make it sick. Discover how to dissolve past debts, release the resentment that sickens your body, and activate a clean flow of holistic prosperity. Get comfortable, open your mind, and let's begin.
We receive only that which we give. The game of life is a game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy. This is the law of karma, which is Sanskrit for comeback. Whatsoever a person sows, that shall they also reap. For example, a friend told me this story of herself, illustrating the law. She said, I make all my karma on my aunt. Whatever I say to her, someone says to me. I am often irritable at home, and one day I said to my aunt, who was talking to me during dinner, no more talk, I wish to eat in peace. The following day, I was lunching with a woman with whom I wished to make a great impression. I was talking animatedly when she suddenly said, no more talk. I wish to eat in peace. My friend is high in consciousness, so her karma returns much more quickly than it would to someone operating strictly on the ordinary mental plane. The more we know, the more we are responsible for, and a person with a knowledge of spiritual law who does not practice it suffers greatly in consequence. The fear of the Lord, the law, is the beginning of wisdom. If we read the word Lord as law, it will make many passages in the Bible much clearer. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord, the law. It is the law that balances the scales, not God. God sees us as perfect, created in the divine image, imagination, and given power and dominion. This is the perfect idea of humanity, registered in the divine mind, awaiting our own recognition, for we can only be what we see ourselves to be, and only attain what we see ourselves attaining. Nothing ever happens without an onlooker, is an ancient saying.
Let's pause here, because this connects perfectly with the science of energy. What Florence calls karma, modern physics understands as Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Your thoughts of scarcity or resentment emit an electromagnetic wave that returns to you in the form of financial hardship or physical discomfort. But what's truly fascinating is the law of forgiveness. Scientifically, forgiving dramatically reduces cortisol levels, healing your nervous system. Metaphysically, forgiveness instantly changes your vibrational frequency, erasing the rebound effect of the past and freeing your personal finances from any subconscious guilt. By forgiving, you become untouchable by negative karma. Let's continue.
We see our own failure or success, our joy or sorrow, before it swings into visibility from the scenes set in our own imagination. We have observed this in the mother picturing disease for her child, or a woman seeing success for her husband. Jesus Christ said, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." So we see freedom from all unhappy conditions comes through knowledge, a knowledge of spiritual law. Obedience precedes authority, and the law obeys us when we obey the law. The law of electricity must be obeyed before it becomes our servant. When handled ignorantly, it becomes a deadly foe. So it is with the laws of the mind. For example, a woman with a strong personal will wished she owned a house that belonged to an acquaintance, and she often made mental pictures of herself living in it. In the course of time, the owner died and she moved into the house. Several years afterward, coming into the knowledge of spiritual law, she said to me, "Do you think I had anything to do with that man's death?" I replied, "Yes, your desire was so strong, everything made way for it, but you paid your karmic debt. Your husband, whom you loved devotedly, died soon after, and the house was a financial burden on your hands for years." The original owner, however, could not have been affected by her thoughts had he been firmly anchored in the truth, nor would her husband have been affected, but they were both under general karmic law. The woman should have said, upon feeling that great desire for the house, "Infinite intelligence, give me the right house, equally as charming as this, the house which is mine by divine right." The divine selection would have given perfect satisfaction and brought good to all. The divine pattern is the only safe pattern to work by. Desire is a tremendous force and must be directed into the right channels, or chaos ensues. In manifesting, the most important step is the first step, to ask aright. We should always demand only that which is ours by divine right. To go back to the illustration, had the woman taken this attitude, "If this house I desire is mine, I cannot lose it. If it is not, give me its equivalent," the man might have decided to move out harmoniously had it been the divine selection for her, or another house would have been substituted. Anything forced into manifestation through personal will and ego is always ill-gotten and rarely brings true success. We are often reminded, "Thy will be done, not thine." And the curious thing is, we always get just what we truly desire when we relinquish personal will, thereby enabling infinite intelligence to work through us. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, the law. For example, a woman came to me in great distress. Her daughter had determined to take a very hazardous trip, and the mother was filled with fear. She said she had used every argument, had pointed out the dangers to be encountered and forbidden her to go. But the daughter became more and more rebellious and determined. I said to the mother, "You are forcing your personal will upon your daughter, which you have no right to do, and your fear of the trip is only attracting it, for we always attract what we fear." I added, "Let go and take your mental hands off. Put it in God's hands and use this statement. I put this situation in the hands of infinite love and wisdom. If this trip is part of the divine plan, I bless it and no longer resist. But if it is not divinely planned, I give thanks that it is now dissolved and cleared away." A day or two after that, her daughter said to her, "Mother, I have given up the trip," and the situation dissolved back into its native nothingness. Learning to stand still seems to be one of the most difficult things for us to do. I have dealt more fully with this law in the chapter on non-resistance. I will give another example of sowing and reaping, which came about in the most curious way. A woman came to me saying she had received a counterfeit $20 bill given to her at the bank. She was much disturbed because she believed the people at the bank would never acknowledge their mistake. I replied, "Let us analyze the situation and find out why you attracted it." She thought for a few moments and exclaimed, "I know why. I sent a friend a bunch of play money just for a joke." So the law had sent her some play money in return, for the law does not know anything about jokes. I said, "Now we will call on the law of forgiveness and neutralize the situation." Christianity is founded upon the law of forgiveness. The Christ principle redeems us from the burden of karmic law, and the Christ within each person is their Redeemer and salvation from all difficult conditions. So I said, "Infinite Spirit, we call on the law of forgiveness and give thanks that she is under grace and not under law and cannot lose these $20, which is hers by divine right. Now," I said, "go back to the bank and tell them fearlessly that it was given to you there by mistake." She obeyed, and to her surprise, They apologized, treated her most courteously, and gave her a fresh bill. So, knowledge of the law gives us the power to rub out our mistakes. We cannot force the external world to be what we are not internally. If we desire riches, we must be rich first in consciousness. For example, a woman came to me asking for spiritual support to manifest prosperity. She did not take much interest in her household affairs and her home was in great disorder. I said to her, "If you wish to be rich, you must be orderly. All people of great wealth are orderly, and order is heaven's first law." I added with a smile, "You will never become rich with a burnt match left sitting in your pincushion." She had a great sense of humor and commenced immediately putting her house in order. She rearranged the furniture, straightened out bureau drawers, cleaned the rugs, and soon experienced a major financial breakthrough, a significant gift from a relative. The woman herself was completely transformed. She keeps her financial vibration high by remaining mindful of her environment and expecting prosperity, knowing that the divine is her true supply. Many people are unaware of the fact that giving and sharing are actual investments, and that hoarding and saving out of fear invariably lead to loss. There are those who give generously, yet their wealth increases, and there are those who withhold more than is right, but it leads only to poverty. For example, I knew a man who wanted to buy a fur-lined overcoat. He and his wife went to various shops, but there was none he wanted. He said they all looked too cheap. At last, he was shown one that the salesman said was valued at $1,000, but which the manager would sell him for $500, as it was late in the season. His total financial savings amounted to about $700. The reasoning mind would have said, "You can't afford to spend nearly all you have on a coat." But he was highly intuitive and never relied on cold logic. He turned to his wife and said, "If I get this coat, I'll make a ton of money." So his wife consented, though a bit hesitantly. About a month later, he received a $10,000 commission. The coat made him feel so rich that it linked him directly with success and prosperity. Without that coat, he would not have been in the vibration to receive the commission. It was an investment paying large dividends. If we ignore these intuitive leadings to spend or to give, that same amount of money will often go in an uninteresting or unhappy way. For example, a woman told me that on Thanksgiving Day, she informed her family that they could not afford a Thanksgiving dinner. She had the money, but decided to save it. A few days later, someone entered her room and took from her bureau drawer the exact amount the dinner would have cost. The law always stands back of the person who spends fearlessly with wisdom. For example, one of my students was shopping with her little nephew. The child clamored for a toy, which she told him she could not afford to buy. She suddenly realized that she was focusing on lack and not recognizing the divine as her true supply. So she bought the toy and on her way home, picked up from the street the exact amount of money she had paid for it. Our supply is inexhaustible and unfailing when fully trusted, but faith or trust must always precede the manifestation. According to your faith be it unto you. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, for faith holds the vision steady, causing the adverse pictures to dissolve and clear away. And in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Jesus Christ brought the good news, the gospel, that there is a higher law than the law of karma, and that this law transcends the law of karma. It is the law of grace, or forgiveness. It is the law which frees us from the law of cause and effect, the law of consequence. We are under grace and not under law. We are told that on this higher plane, we reap where we have not sown. The gifts of God are simply poured out upon us. All that the kingdom affords is ours. This continuous state of bliss awaits the individual who has overcome collective world thinking. In the world's thought pattern there is tribulation, but Jesus Christ said, "Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." The world thought is that of sin, sickness, and death. He saw their absolute unreality and said, "Sickness and sorrow shall pass away, and death itself, the last enemy, will be overcome." We know now, from a scientific standpoint, that physical decay could be overcome by stamping the subconscious mind with the conviction of eternal youth and eternal life. The subconscious, being simply power without direction, carries out orders without questioning. Working under the direction of the superconscious, the Christ or divine principle within us, the true renewal of the body is accomplished. We would no longer cast off our bodies in death. They would be transformed into the body electric sung by Walt Whitman, for the original spiritual message is founded upon the forgiveness of mistakes and an empty tomb.
A profoundly healing lesson. Today, I invite you to declare the release of your past. If you are ready to break any chains of scarcity and clear your destiny, join our community by writing the phrase, "I forgive and I am free," in the comments. By declaring this, you command your subconscious to open itself to pure abundance. If this video brought peace to your body and healing to your mind, please like, subscribe to Infinite Abundance, and turn on notifications. On the end screen, you'll find the link to Chapter 6, Releasing the Burden, where you will learn the secret to lifting the weight of worry off your shoulders. See you there. Have a night filled with light, peace, and forgiveness.